Hello and welcome to the Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement Show. This will be our second segment, and last show we had talked about real estate closings and the various real estate closings that we have and that we deal with here at Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement, from residential closings to commercial closings, and then from a cash transaction to financing with a lender or to a refinance transaction. So there was a lot of good information we gave, and there's certainly more good information to give you again today. And the focus of our show today is title insurance and settlement documents. So a lot happens in 30 days, and I'm excited to tell you that I've now recently gotten married. So it's Linda Marchalk Yeich, Y-E-I-C-H. So you'll be seeing a lot of the new name as I have to go through all of those fun things of changing social security cards, driver's licenses, and everything else that goes with that. So women also have to go through a lot more work than men, and that's just one of the things in getting married. So I'm excited. I'm now married, and Linda Yeich. I'm also excited. We were able to secure another new office location in Hazleton, Luzerne County. So you will find Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement at the 29th Office Street Complex, and that is at 1201 North Church Street, Building A, Suite 219 in Hazel Township. So look for a new sign going up there as you're traveling up and down Church Street for Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement. We're handling closings in Luzerne County, Schuylkill County, Carbon County, and any of the surrounding counties here throughout northeastern Pennsylvania. So our first question we want to address today is, what is title insurance? So title insurance is an indemnity insurance that will protect a property owner and or a lender against any financial loss that's sustained as a result of a title defect. So once you understand what title insurance is, the frequent question that I get is, why do I need title insurance? If we as a licensed title insurance agent, if we as settlement agents are doing our job, title insurance shouldn't be needed. Well, I'm going to disagree with that, because title insurance does serve a purpose, and title insurance is going to address any problems that may have existed prior to a new property owner taking title and owning that property. And as real estate being one of those life-changing, very important decisions that you're going to be making, title insurance is going to give you that security or that peace of mind that if there may be a prior problem, you're not going to have to deal with that. So let me explain a couple of the problems that may arise after you've closed on a property, after you've secured your title insurance, and after you've hired us as a professional to do a title search, review the title search, issue the title insurance. And there are some things that on the face of documents that are recorded at the courthouse that we as licensed professionals cannot see or find, and you as the everyday buyer may not realize or exist and are out there that could be a potential claim on the title insurance. So some of those issues would be a fraud or forgery. Again, people come in and provide a valid driver's license. We may not know if that was a fraudulent driver's license or not. If it's looking genuine and looking real, we make copies of those and put those in our file for a reason. If there's a spouse or an unknown heir that's going to claim that they own the property, again, on the face of documents, whether through a will or an estate, we may not know that. If somebody was under undue influence when signing documents, again, on the face of that, that may be hard for us to see or know, because when we're doing a title search, we're going back 60 years, looking at all of the prior deeds and all of the prior owners who have owned the property. There may be an instance where somebody was, coerced or forced to sign a deed that we wouldn't know at looking at just the recorded document in the Recorder of Deeds office. There could be an error in in a survey or a legal description. So title insurance is there to cover any issue that may arise on that. The legal description in your deed is going to tell you where your property starts and stops. It goes so many feet, and there are what we call courses and distances that a survey description will give you in that legal description. But if there is a problem, title insurance will cover that. We do not cover insuring as to the amount of acreage that you own. We also do not cover, where exactly your property lines exist. So those are two things that a surveyor could tell you: where your property starts, where are the pins, how much acreage do I own. So we, from a title perspective, will tell you, here's what your legal description says, and there may be a need, if there's other questions, a surveyor may need to get involved in that. If we talked about somebody passing away, we talk about an estate. So we may have a problem where a will was not properly probated. We may have a misinterpretation of the will, or we could have somebody delivered the deed, but that seller's already been deceased. So it's important to know at the time of settlement that our seller is still alive, able to sign a deed, and we have a validly signed deed. We may have an incompetent seller. We may have a transfer of the title or the deed to a minor. And again, these are some of the things, as I go down through this list, that are problems that title insurance will cover, because on the face of those documents, we cannot readily know that or see that. There may be a false or an expired power of attorney. There may be some unsatisfied claims not shown in the public records, or something incorrectly indexed in the public records. And then lastly, we would come down to clerical errors in recording legal documents, failure to pay real estate taxes. If something like that should arise, and we're hoping that it never does, but if you had to make a claim on title insurance, there is provisions in the lender's title insurance policy or in an owner's title insurance policy that tells you how to make a claim. It will defend your possession of the property. It will assume all legal costs of the defense as long as you own the property. So why choose Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement? One, as I said earlier, this is a life-changing decision that you're going to be making in your life. And two, you should hire a professional such as myself, Linda Marchalk, Yeich, to handle the closing, because I am a licensed title insurance agent since 2005 here in the state of Pennsylvania. We've dealt with title problems, we've dealt with title defects, and we want to clean them up and pursue them so that the seller is conveying free and clear marketable title. So you have no liens, you have no judgments, you have no issues that we can see from the title search and we can see from the face of the documents. I have a legal background working for attorneys prior to getting my title insurance license. So I have 35 years of legal and real estate experience, and I'm committed to getting you closed in a timely basis, and I am committed to troubleshooting any title problems that arise as a result of the title search. So choose Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement for your next real estate closing. Now we have two types of title insurance policies that we can issue. We would have an owner's title insurance policy, which is issued to you as the buyer and the property owner. And we would have a second policy, a lender's title insurance policy, that would be issued to the lender who is providing the financing or the mortgage on the property. What does title insurance cost? Those rates are established by the Pennsylvania Insurance Department. So any title insurance company that you're dealing with throughout Pennsylvania, we have a rate manual, and the rates for title insurance are based on the purchase price amount. So depending on the purchase price of the property, you tell us how much you're purchasing the property for. We go to our rate chart and we tell you a title insurance policy costs this amount of money. Whether you call Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement or another title insurance company through Pennsylvania, that number should be the same no matter where you go. Now, there may be additional closing costs that are charged to you as the buyer. depending on your transaction, that the title insurance companies may differ on. And those closing costs might be for notary, a document fee, overnight mail fee, any kind of expenses that might be incurred that are out-of-pocket expenses that we need to get reimbursed for as part of doing your real estate closing. In Pennsylvania, it is buyer's choice to choose your title insurance company. So we're hoping that based on our credentials, our qualifications, our experience, that you choose Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement. While a lender or a realtor may make a recommendation or a referral based on who they have dealt with or who they may be accustomed to doing closings with, you as the buyer can do your homework, can ask the questions, and you can choose Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement for your next closing. So just keep that in mind when people are giving recommendations. Do some homework, check out the referral sources, check out their qualifications, and again, we're hoping you make a wise and informed choice when you're dealing with lenders and title insurance companies as part of the settlement. Again, here at Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement, we pride ourselves on remaining flexible. Well, most normal office hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We sometimes come in early, we sometimes stay late. We want to get your real estate closing to a settlement table on time, and we try to be flexible. We try to be accommodating based on people's work schedules. It may be difficult to get time off of work. People may be out of state and not attending closing. So we try to remain flexible, and we try to get you closed timely based on the settlement date on your agreement of sale. So we've just given you a lot of information on what is title insurance, why do you need title insurance, how to make a claim on title insurance, and why you should choose Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement for your next closing. We're going to take a break, and then we'll be back to cover settlement documents and what you might need to look for, gather up, and get prepared for your next real estate closing. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement Show. Again, during the first portion of the show, a lot of new and exciting things are happening, so you need to keep up with us. New name, Linda Marchalk Yeich. I did get married, so Yeich is the last name, Y-E-I-C-H. We also have expanded and have another office location. We are in the 29th Office Street complex in Hazel Township, located at 1201 North Church Street, and we're in Building A, Suite 219. I also have with me attorney Christine Holman, and we're going to cover a few things of the importance of having an attorney to help us out in real estate settlements when a legal issue may arise. Christine is located out of our Tamaqua office, so that's at 204 East Broad Street in Tamaqua. And then we have also offices located in Frackville and Schuylkill Haven. So if you need us throughout Schuylkill County, we are here to help handle real estate and commercial real estate closings, Schuylkill County, Luzerne County, Carbon County, and any of the surrounding counties. So the first document that you need on a real estate closing is an agreement of sale. And as a seller, you need to decide whether you're going to call a realtor to have an agreement of sale prepared and list your property, or if you already have somebody that's called you and you have a buyer for your property, you can do a for sale by owner. So Christine, can you tell us a little bit about an agreement of sale that a seller would need for a closing?
Certainly. So an agreement of sale is the first document that is necessary in beginning a real estate transaction. It's very important. Locking in a sale. It's imperative that a seller put the terms in writing to a buyer. And in Pennsylvania, the statute of frauds governs agreements of sales for real estate. You must have a writing in order for it to be enforceable. So what I counsel individuals on is just putting together a simple document. You don't have to be put in a lot of legalese. You have the parties, the buyer, the seller. You have a description of the property. It can be as simple as the address. You can go a little further if you want to put in a deed book, page number, the parcel number. You then also want to have the price. What is the sales price of this particular property? You want to cover any deposit. You also want to cover what happens if the sale falls through. Oftentimes, for a sales agreement to benefit the seller, if they're taking the property off the market, they want to have a clause called liquidated damages. That's a fancy term for I'm going to retain the deposit if you back out of this sale, and that would be for the seller. That's their inconvenience of having that property off the market for some time. The agreement of sale would also cover settlement, the closing, another term for that. And once we have that document, I then hand that over to Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement. Linda takes a look at it and can put together the HUD sheet.
Thank you, Christine. So yes, we need a signed agreement of sale, and that's what triggers us to open a file at Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement. We'll order your title search, we'll order tax and utility certifications, and then we'll get in touch with seller and buyer to start coordinating some of the documents. So having said that, we've got a seller that is an estate. So Christine, normally they've come to you, somebody's passed away unfortunately, and now they need to sell their property. So from an estate perspective, what would we look at?
Sure. So an estate in simplistic terms is the interest that someone has in property. In this case, we would be talking specifically about real property, real estate. You would be unable to convey a deed if you don't properly have an estate opened, probate that estate, and have the authority to execute a deed. So what I counsel people is you're going to have to break up this transaction now almost into two parts. You've got a piece of real estate, say it's a house that you inherited. It's in the will and it's to go to you. So now you kind of have to put the brakes on a little bit until I can get a petition ready, prepared, get you sworn in with the Register of Wills, file that, and start preparing an inheritance tax return. I guess the most important thing and thing that maybe people don't appreciate or like is in Pennsylvania you've got to pay tax liability on certain things, even in death. So the death passes on to your beneficiaries, depending on what relationship you had to the decedent would determine the amount of tax. But suffice it to say, I would handle that. I would clear that tax liability for you by preparing the inheritance tax return, and I would let Linda know then when Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement would be able to close this, and when the individual who's selling, when they would have clear title to be able to execute a deed and convey that property to that designated buyer.
All right, thanks, Christine. So on estates at Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement, we would certainly be asking the seller for a death certificate, a will, whether you had one or not, and then a short certificate. And like Christine said, there is unfortunately inheritance tax. So if the property is owned outright by that individual in the estate, then that's subject to 100% inheritance tax. If you have jointly owned property, depending on the designation in the deed, there still may be inheritance tax, perhaps on a 50% interest. So again, Christine has helped us in issues that arise related to estates and related to inheritance tax.
I can capitalize on that just briefly. There's some slang lingo that we call it's a pickup estate. If the property is jointly owned, and this is real estate, jointly owned, we call it joint tenants with right of survivorship. You still have to pay inheritance tax on 50% of that real estate. The value and the amount of tax would be determined either on an appraisal, or if you have a ready, willing, and able buyer, you have a sales agreement, you would attach that to the tax return, the inheritance tax return, send it off to Harrisburg and wait for that return to be accepted. It's a lot less complicated than actually opening up a full estate, dealing with a will, short certificates. You let us know, and we would certainly be able to advise if something like that is appropriate in your situation.
All right, moving on then to power of attorneys. So Christine, sometimes in real estate closings we see a power of attorney, and that is a legal document. Can you give us a little summary of those?
Sure. A power of attorney is you as the principal designating an agent really to act on your behalf. Anyone can be a principal, and you can designate anyone to be your agent. Oftentimes, I tell clients that it's a tool of convenience. You associate a power of attorney with the elderly. Maybe that individual is incapable of coming to closing, or incapable of just being able to comprehend what's happening. At the time that they execute the power of attorney, however, they would have to be competent. But that document can be very useful to closing out a sale. You would have that power of attorney. You would have to have it recorded prior to recording a deed. The settlement agent would want to see that power of attorney and make sure that the authority is there for the agent to act on behalf of the principal, who typically is the seller of real estate that we're looking at transferring.
Thank you. So yes, so having a power of attorney is a useful tool, and we certainly need to know about that and factor that into our settlement documents, recording fees. So that is an important document that if you have a power of attorney, your settlement company needs to know about that. If our seller is a corporation or a limited liability company, again, those are typically organizations that are set up by an attorney, Christine. So what documents would you give us as a title company on a corporation LLC?
Sure. I would make sure that I would give a Northeast Pennsylvania settlement, number one, the operating agreement, because that allows the seller to conduct business. An LLC is fairly simple to produce. We would need the principals that would be in the LLC. An LLC is a limited liability company. So your purpose for forming an LLC is to insulate your other assets, from any type of liability. An LLC in Pennsylvania, the filing fee, I believe, is $125. You need an EIN number. That's a tax identification number. You file the LLC with the I guess it's the Pennsylvania Department of Corporations, and it takes maybe a few days for that to materialize. That LLC then is your document to bring to the settlement table. Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement, when they're preparing the closing documents and even for the deed, you want to know that that's how the sellers want it to be titled. So you want to make sure that the operating agreement is present, that the LLC formation documents are in order, because you don't want to have something missing later down the line if there's going to be another transfer.
All right. So for sellers, you can see that there is a lot of information. We're going to look at the deed. How is the last recorded deed titled? And then you almost got to create a story of it's titled in this name, but this happened, and how do we get to where we are today, and who has the legal authority to sign a deed. So is it a representative of an estate? Is it an agent under a power of attorney? Or is it some officer or member of a corporation? So there is a lot involved. So as we try to look at explaining to you why it's very important to come to Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement. We are the professionals that are overseeing that settlement. We are the ones that are going to help you with the title insurance. We are the ones that are insuring title through a national title insurance company. So we know what documents to look for. We know what questions to ask, and we want to make this a smooth real estate closing for you. So hiring Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement, we're going to exceed your settlement expectations. We're going to ask all these questions up front. You're going to know what documents you need from us. We're going to close on time, and we're going to be flexible in that scheduling. Traveling to any one of our office locations, Tamaqua, Schuylkill Haven, Frackville, Hazleton, wherever it's most convenient for you to handle the real estate closing. So call Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement for any residential or commercial real estate closings covering Schuylkill County, Luzerne County, Carbon County, and any surrounding counties throughout Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement. Christine, call you Christine because you're a longtime friend, Attorney Holman. Her and I, hardworking. We will get the job done. We will close on time. So thank you, and call Northeast Pennsylvania Settlement next time you have a real estate closing.